if you look at services procurement, I've heard it, people within the industry, within procurement, talk about it just being left behind from a technology perspective, even compared to areas like contingent workforce.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's a tricky problem to solve. It's complicated. Services are all different. The way that you can't just compare price on a like-for-like basis. But I think to your point that you were making there about cost cutting, that's a really thorny issue in services procurement, in my view, because if you're addressing cost cutting, then you absolutely have those issues that you just mentioned. And you need to understand what's going on in your supplier, but you also need to understand what you're getting for it. Because the idea of cost cutting, we spent 100 million last year, we need to reduce costs to make it 90 million this year. That takes that in no way does that take into account what the return is from the delivery of those services. You're getting some great consulting, some great outsourced service delivery, all kinds of specialist services being delivered into the business. What's that driving in the business? And I think that's, again, ties into this strategic role of procurement, where if procurement professionals can really understand their services spend and really understand which suppliers are doing a great job for them and where they're really adding value, then actually it might make sense for the business to spend more on services procurement, because
Yeah. I mean, I've seen good examples and poor examples. I think where the best examples work is where procurement really have a clear understanding of what the value proposition is of the services they're buying, and how they lead to kind of tangible outcomes for the business. If you can really work that, then I think, as you say, you just become more sophisticated about thinking about what you're buying, and then it's not, frankly, a unit rate discussion. It's actually, what is the scope of the service that you're buying, and do you need to expand the scope or reduce the scope? Do you need to give the opportunity for suppliers to move into other areas of things that they may not have done historically, etc., etc.? And then, it just gives you more bandwidth to have a richer conversation. The other thing I think we've got to get more comfortable with and just perfect is, how do you productize services as well? I think, in truth, there's a lot of repetition in terms of what we buy. And I think one of the things that we're trying to figure out in Kantar with some of the services that we buy is, how do we productize it so we can make it more uniform, and in doing so, have a much clearer relationship between the outcome of the things that we're buying and the outcomes that it delivers. And then we talked a little bit about systems. I mean, then suddenly your systems landscape becomes a lot clearer to run and operate as well, because you're productizing services. So therefore, things like your material master data and your records and all those things become a lot clearer to navigate and manage. And as I say, it comes back to the fact that I think that services procurement needs to be on a bit of an accelerated journey, I think, in terms of how it becomes more sophisticated in the future.